Hi, I'm Chris Erickson. I'm a Type 1 Public Information Officer with the National Incident Management Organization, or NEMO. And we used Periscope this last summer for several days on an incident. And we learned a lot of things about what to use it for. This was our first time using it. And we have some lessons learned. And I've had people ask me, they don't know anything about Periscope, they're scared to try it. So we thought we would offer at least what we had learned. No expert at all on doing this. So this is just an attempt to share at least what we know. I'm sure people out there will be able to add lessons that they learned and things that they found really useful. We can get started in a second. This is what Periscope looks like. What we're going to do is go over pretty much how the tool works, what each button on it looks like and what it does. Then we'll show you an example. I have a recorded one that we did before, and then I'll show you we can actually do one to see what an actual broadcast looks like, what you can do with it, and then we'll go over some of the lessons learned, okay? So, to start with, this is Periscope. I apologize when this goes in and out of focus. I can't seem to adjust it, but so this is Periscope. It was purchased by Twitter, so that's why you log into your Periscope account with Twitter. You can also log in with a phone number, it says at the bottom. You probably can't even read that now, but I haven't ever used that, so I don't know what happens when you log in with a phone number because I actually want the Twitter followers, okay? So let's go ahead and log in with Twitter. You get the option of accounts. This is logging in as me because it wants to log in as me because it's my phone, it recognizes it, but I can switch accounts when I'm tapping at the bottom. And that lets me pick, for instance, if you're at an incident and the forest or the BLM unit or the park has said you can tweet from their account, you log in using their account. And then when you broadcast, it sends an automatic tweet to all of their followers. And that can be useful because when you first get to an incident, you don't have any followers. We'll talk more about that later. But right now, I'm going to log in as me. I'm going to say allow. Okay, so now it's going to log me in. And what you see right away, you see there's a little icon at the top of television. When you're on the television page, it lets you see all of the people that are following you, or that you're following. So anybody that you have chosen to follow, and we'll show you how to do that later, are on this page. Either what's up here is who's live right at the moment. Down here are people that you follow who have been live recently. Okay? So if I touch this, you'll hear him start broadcasting. We'll do that in a little bit. Right over here, this shows you anyone in the world who's broadcasting on Periscope. So you can watch conversations where you don't know the language. Any of these that are red is somebody that's broadcasting. As soon as you touch on it, it says 10. Down here at the bottom, it'll show you the 10 people that are currently broadcasting from that area, wherever that's picking up from. Let me adjust my little stand here. I'm falling off. Okay, so that's a good way to see what people are doing with it. If it's blue, it means when you tap on that, it's not blue anymore, but it may show you, if it's blue, people that were broadcasting but aren't anymore. There's a lot of people, 123 broadcasting from down sort of in the south, probably because of the weather. Road conditions, icy and cold, snowing in here, Snowzilla Hour 1, all of these people broadcasting about, and we'll watch some of those later. But the world shows you people, not necessarily that you're following, just anyone in the world who happens to be on Periscope and is broadcasting publicly. You can watch all of them. It's a good place to see how people are using it. The list here, this is just kind of the same thing in a list. It shows people that are live broadcasting right now. I don't know if it has any particular order, but I could click on any one of these and watch what people are doing. Okay, the next one over here is the little people figure up there at the top, and that's how you find people to follow. You can scroll through them and pick people to follow. You can read a little bit. All this information here is coming from their Twitter account. So whatever you have on your Twitter account is what's going to show. You can edit, I believe, what's in your profile on Periscope if you want to. But basically, I can just go through here and see, here's Kevin O'Leary, who's on Shark Tank, if you wanted to follow him and see what he's doing. So if I want to follow him, I click on this button over here. If I want to, there's some other things I can do. If I click on his name, it opens up, it shows I'm following him. And then this button right here, and I recommend you do this to a number of people, this turns the notifications off. If you don't want to be notified with a little beep every time one of the people you're following broadcasts, I suggest that you turn that off because it can get really annoying. Now, in the case of a fire, most people want to leave the notification on. It sends a little chirp whenever somebody's broadcasting live. And so many people want to know when you're broadcasting on an incident. They want to know when the next broadcast is, which is also why it's a good idea to broadcast possibly, if you can, at the same time every day so that people know when you're going to be broadcasting. So I've turned that notification off, okay? But now I am currently following him as well. All right? So over here on the upper right is where we have the profile. So it has my Twitter profile. That's what's written on my Twitter account. It shows how many people I'm following. That's on Periscope, not on Twitter. How many followers I have, how many broadcasts I've done. And this is also where you would log out. If I wanted to log out from my name and re-log in under the Forest account, I could do that. Once I'm on a fire, I am usually just broadcasting as the incident where I am. Number of settings that are there, okay? So that's the basics of how this works. Now, to actually broadcast, okay, let me show you a couple things before we actually talk about broadcasting. I'm going to go to this list, and I'm going to find somebody who's broadcasting and seems to have, this person has a few people watching. You see down here, it says 39 people. Okay, so I'm going to touch this, turn the volume up. Trying to get it to get in focus so you can see this. Let's see if we can find one about the snow. There's a lot of people, the U.S. Capitol blizzard. Here's people, pictures of wintertime.
Bread and milk. I know. There was no water to speak of at the store I was at. There was no milk. Bread was just the
Okay, I'm going to turn the volume down now. What this person is doing, I'm trying to wait and see if it will come into focus. You see on the right a lot of hearts that are going up. Those hearts are people saying, I hear you, thanks for broadcasting. It doesn't necessarily mean we love you in the event of a disaster or other kind of incident. It's just indicating that we hear you, we're here, we're listening, we appreciate it. That's all it really means. Now, in the bottom left, you see these little blue, you see these bars keep coming up with text in them. I'm trying to get it to focus, but it won't. But those basically are questions. Those are watchers. People are asking questions. Where are the other humans? Watching from Myers, Florida. What's the temperature? How much are they calling for? You can see it now. They're asking questions. And the person who's talking is actually answering those questions because they're standing there by their phone and they can see the questions come up and they answer them. So we see a lot of possibilities for this tool during a disaster. Okay? So these will just keep coming in. On the lower right side, you see this person has 213 people that are actually watching this broadcast right now. All right? All right, so we're going to close this. Oops, close this out. Now, I'm going to show you what it looks like when you actually broadcast. I go back to the little television, and down here in this corner, that's the broadcast button, okay? So when you push on that button, this is the broadcasting. Now, to relieve you a little bit of your concern, I can make a public broadcast, as you see at the top, or a private broadcast, okay? If I choose to do private, I have to have at least one person watching. So one person should be on Periscope that I can actually find. So if I say private, it'll say select somebody. Okay, so I'll say I do a private broadcast and I select my friend Serena, and then I say make it private to one person. Now, only that person will see it. It's a good way to practice and have somebody tell you how you're doing or what you're doing that works or not works. So I didn't warn Serena that I was going to call her, but when you do a broadcast title, as you saw, there's often a large list. So I suggest, first of all, that you use a hashtag of some sort, whatever hashtag you're using on your incident. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a hashtag. Let's pick hashtag Periscope test. There can't be any spaces. Okay, so that's what I'm going to call it, Periscope test. And then I'm going to say making a training video. Okay, now on yours I suggest you make a more interesting title, like latest on the something other wildfire or something, so people know. They should know what it is. If it's your 10 a.m. Operational update, you can call it that, okay? So then I'm going to get rid of my thing. I'm going to say start broadcast. Okay, so you see in the bottom, I'm now live. So right now, if Serena was on, I don't know if she is or if she got a warning, she could actually, I'm just broadcasting what's in front of me. I can zoom the same way you normally do on a phone. If I turn it, tap it twice, it turns it around and shoots back toward me, filming this, okay? So I'll turn it back around by tapping twice, and I believe that works on Apple phones as well. And I can zoom in or zoom back, okay? I can also stop the broadcast. All right? So, and then down here at the bottom, and this is an important part, save to gallery. You want to save it to the gallery because that will let you go get the link later and post it, cross-post it to other social media. So make sure it's saved to gallery. You can also save in the settings so that in the settings you choose save all broadcasts and it will do it automatically. And then you don't have to remember to do this. Okay? One other thing I want to show you, which I forgot to show you, when you're live broadcasting, underneath here you'll see these marks. There's a little, the Twitter symbol, and I'll show you what each of these means. If you click the Twitter symbol, it means that as soon as you hit start broadcast, it's going to send a tweet to everyone on that account. Okay, it's going to send out a tweet that says Chris Erickson is live broadcasting on Periscope and a link so that people can connect in. That's a good thing. You want to do that. Okay, this means you can set it so that only users of Periscope can follow you. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that in the case of an incident, because you'll find people around the world are logging in to find information about disasters. So I'm not sure that I would do that. This turns your location. It tells people where you are. And I think that's a good idea. So normally I start these two, and that's how I use it. Now I want to show you something. Because of what happens is when you hit start broadcast and the broadcast starts going, if you start talking immediately, people don't have time to pick up their cell phone or their tablet or turn it on. So what we found is that by observing what some other people were doing, that we allow for a little break time before we actually start talking. Now there's a lot of ways to do this. We experimented with a lot of ways. I'm going to show you in my in one I have saved what it looks like. Let me find it. What it actually looks like if you do that. Okay, this is one right here from the river complex. And what we did was we put a sign up that said, "Please stand by, we'll begin in 1 minute." At the same time, the girl on this video, Katie, who was about to do the broadcast, I was filming, she was standing off to the side and she had some music in her cell phone, and she had that held up to the wireless mic she was using. So that we gave it about, it was actually about 30 to 45 seconds of showing the sign and playing the music so people knew we were there, but we weren't actually broadcasting. They had time to get on and turn their volume on and wait for the broadcast to start. Because if you start right away, people miss everything what you say in the beginning. So here's kind of what it looked like. I'll turn the volume up. Okay. It's not very beautiful, Because my phone doesn't have a hole for a tripod, you couldn't hold it very still, just like I'm doing right now. It's hard to hold it still. There are attachments for the camera. It's a little clasp that fits on your camera and has a foot on it, so that it will you can attach it to a tripod. I hadn't bought one of those yet. That would be very handy. But here's what happened. Now watch.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Katie here with the River Complex with your morning PIO update. Hey, things are looking pretty fall weather-like.
Okay, so you can see this is what we did. It's not very polished. A lot of things we have learned to do differently. Her microphone wasn't working. We thought that it was. I'll explain a little bit about that later. But basically, we did live operational updates. It does help to use a wireless mic. So let me go over some of the things that we learned about here. All right, we learned that do log in from the Twitter account, not from a phone. Using a phone number. Whether you log in with your account, the incident-specific Twitter account, or whether you use the Forest, kind of hard to say. It was nice using the Forest on the one that we did down on the Shasta Trinity because they had 3,500 followers. It was kind of the end of the season. We didn't want to start a new Twitter account. They didn't want us to, so we used theirs. I have seen some teams that use their team Twitter account. The problem I have with that is the people following the team Twitter account are not necessarily people that are interested in the fire in the city where you are. Maybe we gathered a bunch of them when we were at a fire in California, and now we're at a fire in Arizona. So all of those people don't really care. So it seems to me that you need maybe start with the hosting agency Twitter account, and once you have enough people, assuming you started an incident-specific Twitter account, once you have a lot of people, you can convert them over. You can tell those people, you can tell them on that account to follow the fire account, and then they'll all be over there anyway. So that's one suggestion. I do suggest you get a wireless mic. If you don't have a microphone, or at least a microphone with a long cord, if you don't have that, you have to stand like with a phone. You don't get very good sound unless you're standing pretty close. So if you want to do something like you have a big map out in your briefing area and you want to be able to film your ops guy and you have to stand back far enough, you won't be able to hear him. So either a mic with a 20 or 30 foot cord, the little tiny lapel mic with a little cord, or some kind of wireless mic. My team has a wireless setup for a lot of different purposes, so we use the wireless mic. I will say, here's the deal with using a wireless mic. You have to have one of these. On a phone, the little place up here, which is the only place to put in a microphone cord, is actually for headphones. So after a lot of research, we found the mic wouldn't work in here. We discovered that you have to have a mic that has a certain setup. It has to do with the number of rings here. So we got this adapter. It's like $6. One of these, let's see if I can show you. One of them has, I think this one you can see has headphones on it. And one of these has, no, that's the one with headphones, and this one has a microphone on it right there. So we plug into the microphone one, and it allows you to use a microphone on your phone. Otherwise, you can't. I will say this adapter does not work on a Samsung 4, but it works on the 5 and 6, and it does work on an iPhone. I believe it works. These are phone specific, so you have to find the one for you, but it doesn't cost very much to buy one. Make sure you set your profile to save broadcast so you don't have to remember to do it every time. Once you do that, you can go in and grab the URL that's the broadcast, and then you can put it on your Facebook page or your blog and say, you know, watch today's whatever it is, operational update or tour of camp or whatever it is you were broadcasting. You can cross-post it to lots of different media places. And you can use, we recommend you use tinyURL to shorten the URL, and you make a custom URL that says Periscope of Camp Tour and a date so that you remember when you have a lot of these what each one is for. Otherwise it has that nonsensical URL and you have to watch it to know what it is. We suggest you do some work promoting people to join your Periscope account, to watch or to join Twitter. so that they can watch. That's why it's helpful to have a time when you do things. Here's what it's very good for. It used to be these Periscope broadcasts only lasted 24 hours. We could use it for a morning or afternoon operational update, and it disappeared in 24 hours, which was perfectly fine. So, but we found a couple of things that it's really good for. It was good for operational updates, and now that you can save it, you can actually share it, like I said, across social media sites, and it doesn't have to be just Twitter followers. We used it for a camp tour, walking people around camp. Much easier when you have the wireless mic because you don't, or some kind of microphone, because you don't have to be standing 5 feet from the person to hear anything. If you have to do that, that's fine. It's a good way to experiment. Just make sure that that as you're walking around, the person talking is standing next to the phone. So you're probably not going to be able to see the camp and the person giving you the tour. The person holding the phone or a second person standing by them would actually do the talking as you're walking around, if that makes sense. Personal interviews. You interview people in camp, tell me about the medical unit. Somebody was hurt. What's the most common injury you're getting in on this fire or disaster, whatever it is. Or maybe you want to interview what it means to be the plans person or what a resource advisor is. And you can do that. Now, you might have to stand a little uncomfortably close, especially if they talk softly. That's why I suggest getting some kind of a little microphone and the adapter. Now, the thing we really want to try that we didn't have a chance to is being able to try as a press conference. You notice that at the bottom of the screen, when people pulled up Periscope, when you saw Periscope, on the lower left part of the screen, you could see live things coming through, right? You could see live questions coming through. And that's a part that I really like about this, is that I can see live questions. So here, as you can see, I'll see if I can show it to you. On the bottom, you see these live questions coming through. Of course, it's backwards to you. But imagine, if you will, if you did a private Periscope, you told all the media to follow you on Periscope, and then you set it to private. You can pick as many people as you want for a private broadcast, and you pick all your media people. And then you hold a press conference with the IC and the ops people, and the media is able to ask questions that you then read out, and the person answers the questions. I think it is a fabulous way to use the tool, and I plan to do it next summer. Last thing, if you can, get a tripod. So even if you have something small like this, or whether you have a large one, the problem is a camera doesn't have this attachment. So, a phone doesn't have this attachment like a camera does. So there's a little number that holds, that clasps your phone, and then has a shoe on it that you can screw into a tripod, and that would make it a lot easier to use. And by the way, you can use the person holding the camera can hold it sideways. If for some reason it's better, you can see here that this person is holding it vertically. So even when I hold my camera sideways, it doesn't really make any sense. They're obviously shooting vertically. But you can shoot sideways if it looks like they just started that in the last year. And they're making changes to it all the time, so make sure you stay updated. So that's it. I hope that was helpful. Feel free to email me if you have a question about how we used Periscope. We're happy to answer any questions. But I encourage you, just go try it. Download it, try it. Find one person that you can follow or follows you, and do a private broadcast, and you'll see what's possible. A person that I suggest you follow, especially in the summer, is a shout out to CAL FIRE PIO Berlant, B-E-R-L-A-N-T. Daniel Berlant is a PIO for CAL FIRE. And it was watching him that we found out they would broadcast sort of the screen, a smart screen that he used with a map of California on it, and they played music. And then he didn't come, and then he would walk onto the screen and start talking. And I wondered why, until I realized that when you send out that tweet, it sends a notice, but you need 30, 45 seconds for people to sort of get on. If you start talking right away, they're going to miss the whole first part of what you say. So there's a lot of ways you can accomplish that. In fire camp, ours was very not very sophisticated, just a piece of paper saying we'll be right back, and we played some music, on the phone in the microphone, so they could see. So when people came on, they knew we were there. We just weren't broadcasting yet. So I really recommend this tool, and I recommend that you give it a shot. It seems very useful to use in incidents. Thanks for your time.